Welcome back to the She Lives with MS podcast. This is Michaela Michelle, and I'm here to talk to you about an unspoken topic when you live with MS, and that's called the identity crisis that happens when you live with MS. You know, when you get diagnosed with MS, it's a whole literal whirlwind of feelings that happen. And the shock stops you in your tracks. And then the grief sets in. And then the next question becomes, well, now that I have this condition, who am I now? Because when you're first diagnosed, that shock is so overwhelming, you can't even breathe. And the reason why I'm covering this topic with you today is because I want to let you know that you're not alone. That identity crisis is a real thing. Even the National MS Society wrote an article, which I will link in my show notes. And what they call is the disappearing self. Like literally your self disappears. Like who you thought you were disappears. Independence is gone. Being unstoppable is gone. Climbing the corporate ladder is gone. So if all of those identities that we normally have going into MS happens, then what happens when MS takes those identities away from you? You know, your career, believe it or not, before used to define your identity. But when your career becomes then taken away from you, and when your career has to change, or when for me, for example, I can no longer have a career. I'm homebound. I live at home full time. So then what happens? What happens like with you, with your job, with your identity, with who you are, with you being the breadwinner maybe in your home? What happens when that gets taken away from you? And this is the turning point that I'm bringing to your attention. Because you may be asking yourself, well, who am I now? And what value do I bring to my family if I can no longer work? Or if my work is compromised? Or if now I'm going through all this paperwork with FMLA and all these other things, how do I now make money? What value do I now bring to myself and to my family now that I have MS? And I'm telling you that your value comes from what God says about you and not from what the world says about you. I thought my value meant my career. Have you ever wondered, like when somebody meets you for the first time, they don't even ask you about you. They ask you, what do you do? Because what do you do gives you a label, which then gives you the value. But I am telling you right now that your value does not come from what you do. It comes from who you are. And so if you don't know who you are anymore, that's where the identity crisis comes from. And so I'm offering you this. Your identity is based on your own personal values, what you value the most. For me, for example, I value true friendship. That's where the value comes from. I value family and connection with my family. I value close intimacy and the ability to be able to talk with people that I trust and that I know deeply. Those are the things that I value. I value getting fresh air every day and having sunshine. I value drinking water and taking care of myself. What do you value? Because that's where your value comes from. So what I'm telling you is that you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself, and that this story doesn't have to end here, that this story can begin here. So what is your value and what do you value? And do you have the ability right now to reinvent yourself? Now, maybe you're still going through the identity crisis, and so reinventing yourself might not even be on your radar right now. But I'm planting the seed in your mind that you can reinvent yourself. I want to remind you something about what God says in Genesis. The very first chapter of Genesis, he says God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God created you in his own image, which means that you have value. Literally, you have value all on your own. The world does not define your value. You have value because you woke up this morning and you have life in your body. So what I'm going to offer you is this. Right now might be the right time for you to work through your feelings of grief and then to start to reinvent who you really are. Who are you? What do you value the most? Do you value friendship? So be a good friend. Do you value relationship? So go into your relationships and feed those relationships. Do you value intimacy and closeness and connection? Be intimate and close and connected to the people in your life. Whatever you want, be it first and then create it in your surroundings. Because once you start to do that, you'll be able to cry through and heal through what MS takes away from you. If you found this conversation valuable, please follow me on the She Lives with MS page on Instagram, or follow me right here on my She Lives with MS podcast. And please pass this along to a friend if you think that it may have value to them. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I look forward to chatting with you in our next episode. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.